So I've got another article from Variety. It's called Amazon stock hits all-time high amid surge in orders and company is worth 1.1 trillion. And so on the one hand, this article is talking about how because of this whole kind of coronavirus pandemic and because of it was already, Amazon was already doing really well before this, of course, but this has just completely accelerated that. And so it's given some kind of key stats how the company's worth over 1.1 trillion. Jeff Bezos is worth over 137 billion, and all of these crazy metrics to say how great things are going. But then at the same time, we have all of these sort of controversial issues going on where there were protests. They've been known to, for example, fire people who have been publicly against their policies. And so I guess I wanted to kind of get your guys' feel on whether or not you feel that these type of controversial things are going to happen at any company at this scale, or whether or not this is indicative of issues in Amazon's overall leadership structure. Yeah, I just want to get you guys' take on that.
I might say that Charlie, you love the Amazon articles.
That's very true. I am guilty of that.
That's right.
Every week we get an Amazon article out of Charlie, so I'm always looking at which Amazon article he's going to pull. But I will say, I think we talked about this earlier. I don't know whether or not it made it on film or not, but we were talking about how with scaling and how management of people scales. And I think, if you have a team of 10 to 20 people, you can scale like good culture and good management skills. When you're talking about, the vast number of employees that Amazon hires, and you're talking about especially warehouse workers and stuff like that, how we talked about how kind of you need to account for where their whereabouts in a given day. I think the management style is different there, and I don't necessarily know you can carry on like a cool, relaxed kind of company culture when you have a billion employees or however many worldwide workers Amazon has. Eventually, the means of oversight will leave the central hands that had a cool hip work environment to begin with, and it very much is just any other job, I guess, a fulfillment job. So I imagine, the company culture coming into play there. Um, at that point, I mean, at this point, Amazon is what Walmart was in the '90s and early 2000s, as far as like being a very low, the low price leader, very commoditized on everything, and employees kind of being, a commodity in the cog that is the machine. So I think you're probably seeing that, and it doesn't surprise me that people that are taking a stand on unfair work conditions or not having protective gear during this time and they're still working. Um, it doesn't surprise me. I wish it wasn't the case, but I don't necessarily know. I mean, the alternative, I guess, for such a large machine, I guess, and such a large churning cogs everywhere.
Yeah, I think a different way to say that is that when companies get really large, they become like a stand-in or a proxy uh, for corporate America at large, right? It's like the issues that people have are issues they would have with a lot of companies, but Amazon becomes the poster child of those issues, right? And you mentioned Walmart. It was the same kind of thing with Walmart, is that some of those issues were some of the issues that came up with Walmart were indicative of corporate America problems in corporate America, society at large. But the largest kind of player in that game becomes the focal point of that discussion. And I think that in part is just the size of Amazon makes that in part of what's happening there. I think the other side of it, though, that's interesting to think about is how does a really large company like an Amazon actually create or maintain culture, positive or negative, across the entire company? That's a pretty amazing feat in either direction, actually. If in fact, I mean, I don't want to pretend to know what the culture is at Amazon. I haven't worked there. I've had colleagues that have worked there, but if in fact there is a particular cultural stereotype at Amazon that is pervasive throughout the entire company, that alone is kind of an interesting point given the size of it. because you would think with that kind of size that it would be like any other large organizations, that it would really just depend on what part of the organization you were in, or what, even what part of the country. When I worked for a Big Four international accounting firm, I couldn't ascribe a culture to the entire firm worldwide. It was known to me, at least, that the culture that we had in, say, where I was in Portland, Oregon, in that office was going to be dramatically different, and was different than the culture of the same firm's office in New York or in the Bay Area or other places. And so, yeah, just the idea that Amazon could have a pervasive culture across the entire company is an interesting point as well. I mean, it means if it's a positive culture, it means they're doing something. Any positive aspects that are pervasive means they're doing something really amazing. Any negative aspects means, wow, there's something really wrong if they're able to sustain such a negative issue across the entire company.
Yeah, I think the protests they've been having are probably indicative that there's a pretty good, healthy mix of people there who don't agree with all of their practices, and that there's dissension in the ranks, so to speak. And so, yeah, I think, anytime you get to that size, you just you're not going to have everybody be on the same page. Like you said, there is no way to have that culture be that pervasive.